seemed to her so clear and laid out, like the path was lit with lamps galore and the markings on the street had been freshly inked. The final destination sign was rusted, but all the other signs were adorned with legible font. She could tell what towns were coming up. She could see all the options, the exits and the rest stops. She even had a solid sense of what the cars around her were doing. Life was a road trip, and lucky her, she loved road trips. Each day was full of fun. Occasionally the fun came from the new places that got to be explored. The scenery would change and bring with it a new world of experiences. She'd been to the joyful mountaintops, the content cornfields, the mystical forests, and even to the emotional oceans. At each location, the view was breathtaking, and no words can quite capture the perfection of each moment. She loved none more than the rest, but rather thought each day was beautiful, exactly as it was. The seasons would change, but even the open, bare cornfields of a dry December brought her joy. Even a rainy day in the forest was splendid as the raindrops sizzled on her bare skin, and the thunder lulled an ominous tune. Sometimes the weather would shift abruptly, and the blossoms of late April would drip clumps of white snow, unexpected yet glorious all the same. She treasured the changing weather and the time spent. Yes, she treasured these places in her heart. But despite this, it was not actually about the places. No, the places were all just an excuse for what was happening inside the car. In the car was where the people were. In the car was where the connections were formed. With each transition of scenery, the dynamic would shift. She would stop to pick up some folks, to let some out, and to rearrange the seating. Often, it was with great difficulty that these tasks were accomplished. Everyone who had ever stepped foot in the car was important to her, but plans shifted and they had to be let go. There were many a sad farewell and a few see you laters that never came to pass. One also plays a risk picking up new travelers. You can never be quite certain that they are well-intentioned. You can never be quite certain that they will get along and fall into the dynamics of the car. But nonetheless, she did it. It scared her immensely, yet she powered through. Nonetheless, inside the car was an excellent time. So she drove. She drove and she sang songs and she told stories and she listened to stories, and life was good. It was very good. Each day was met with a smile and a laugh. Inside the car, they'd laugh so hard that the diaphragm would weary and the cheeks would beg for a moment's rest. It was the nature of things and how she lived in this world. Forever a box of giggles, a relentless optimist who loved it all, who found joy in it all. That was her. And now's the point in the story where you are probably thinking, okay, so everything's perfect. What's going to happen now? There must be some tragic conflict coming that will destroy this happy little world that's been formed. And I tell you, these are exactly the thoughts of our main character. She had listened to countless stories that the people inside the car would tell. There was reminiscings on the stories they shared and accounts of similar stories that each person brought with them. But there was also another sort of story. There were stories of immense pain and struggle, stories of hardship, despair, and perseverance. She understood these emotions, but hidden deep down in the depths of her thoughts was a tiny voice. The tiny voice would taunt her with questions and queries. Why have I never experienced that? I care and I want to show them that, but I don't actually relate. How am I supposed to respond? They say that experiences like these make you stronger. Does that mean I'm not strong? On and on these voices would go, echoing in her mind and soul. There was another voice that told her all these thoughts were stupid, but still they beat themselves around in her head. And so she thought what you thought. What's next? Where is the story going? What's the big tragic conflict in this narrative? And question, isn't it? What's next? As she pondered this, the water in her eye collected into a perfect droplet, and ever so gently it forged its way down her face. It rolled from smiling eyes over rosy cheeks. Down it went alongside a hard-labored smile. She was terrified. Through her tear-blurred eyes, she attempted to continue driving. Expecting the unexpected, she drove on. Now, all the road signs appeared in a language she could not comprehend. A street light flickered out, and the markings on the street were mere shadows of the defined lines they had once been. But even then, she couldn't keep her laughter down. For life is a road trip, and even then... She loved road trips.